I'm going to start this with a prop. This is my hockey stick. This is the one that I got with the intention of playing a lot of street hockey, and it didn't see nearly as much over the last 12 months as I had expected. In fact, bottom of this barely touched it. Hooking is the act of putting your stick around a player and kind of giving him a little bit of a tug. Slashing, we had a problem with a few years ago where Crosby took his stick and he kind of took off the top of a finger on Mark Mathot. And so, as fans, and I know media as well, they had their statements about how slashing needed to be cracked down upon. So the NHL did that. They said, all right, we're going to crack down on slashing and hooking. Although hooking has never really been a major problem. Today's game between St. Louis and Arizona, I think, so far this year, is the most egregious example of how referees are going too far. And this is something Brian Burke said last Saturday, they are looking for a penalty. And when you see all the players on the ice, not sure what they did. And when I watch this, I'm going, that's not a penalty? When did that become a penalty? And I'm a guy who doesn't want to complain about officiating. And I have, for the last couple of months, any kind of hockey, whether it was World Juniors or NHL, I've said, I don't talk about the officiating because it becomes an endless complaint. And every game you're going to see people saying that referees, they influence the game and they hosed a team out of a result. Today's game, referees decided stick work was absolutely against the rules. I cannot imagine being a defenseman in today's NHL. It has to be really tough. So when we talk about defensemen and how guys are blowing around them and, oh, look, these defensemen are lousy, maybe part of it is because they know if they use their stick, it's going to be an automatic penalty. And if the guy's past them and they use their stick at all, it's an automatic penalty shot. So for defensemen, it has to be a tough time right now in the National Hockey League because they don't know what is and what isn't a penalty. All right, let's discuss this game, shall we? So let me just pull this in a little closer. And I have to say, they said this during this game as well, and they had a good laugh about it. Cross-checks are okay. And I've talked about this before. Cross-checks are a penalty. If you take your stick, you put it in your hands thusly, and you decide I'm going to two-hand somebody across the back, you're good. You get your stick right here, you do that 3 or 4 times in front of the net, you're fine. Even though the rule book says that's a cross-check and it's a penalty. And then all of a sudden, that 4th or 5th one, they go, oh, that's too many, and then it's a penalty. But one little hook, one little move with a stick, and the hand goes up automatically and it's a penalty. All right. That being said, that preamble out of the way, and hopefully the NHL does something to fix this because it is becoming a major problem. Let's take a look at this game. So it's the throwback thirds for the Blues. They weren't wearing the red retro reverse, but they wore their 1967 throwbacks instead. And early on the first shot, Chychrun gets a goal from Keller and Garland at 250. Then the Blues, they answer, and on their first shot, they get a goal. It's Thomas from Parayko and Krug at 4:05. And, I mean, you got to be looking at this going, this is going to be a shooting gallery. There's going to be a ton of goals, especially since at the time this game was starting, of course, the Montreal-Ottawa game was still on. And so you're good, right? No. The scoring was almost basically done for the game. We just didn't know it at the time. The Blues get a power play. Kemper stopped Falk. But there were power play chances for the Blues at that point. Today's power play, scoreless for St. Louis, continues to be an issue, but they were getting chances on that one. Thomas exited after an awkward fall, and it looked like he fell on his hand. Might have been his right hand that got hurt. That meant that because St. Louis only had 11 forwards on the ice and 7 defensemen, now they were down to 10 forwards, although I think Wallman played a forward position at certain points as well during the game. So Thomas was out for the rest of the game, and we don't know yet how bad his injury might be. Shots were 9-4 in favor of the Blues with 5.5 minutes left. The Coyotes pressed with 4 minutes left in that period. Pressure drew a Coyotes power play, which had no shots. And the refereeing wasn't really the story yet. Second period, early Coyotes power play. One shot, lots of them being blocked. There were a couple of painful-looking ones by Sundqvist there, who exited the ice kind of laboring, but he'd stay in the game, which is good because you're already down to 10 forwards. Power play then for the Blues, and it's at this point where you're asking yourself, are these penalties? The answer's no. They shouldn't be. We've got it written on the board, and we'll go over it. What they called today. And it shows that there's a certain penalty they're calling a lot. And it's not cross-checking. So, each team had one shot 9 minutes into the period. One thing when you're getting this many power plays, it really hurts the flow of the game. It means that there really isn't a flow of the game going on. The Coyotes then get a power play. Hooking by Krug? No, it was a weak call. So keep in mind that was a weak call on Krug. And I didn't see the hook, personally. And that was after the Coyotes had a power play where, all right, Keller gets the power play goal from Kessel and Osterley at 10:44. It was a fantastic deke by Clayton Keller. That's his third goal of the season. And so good goal for him there, and it made it 2-1. Larson then had a fight with Shen. That was a much more impressive fight than I might have expected from Shen and Larson, but there we are. Kyrou then had a fast break that was pushed wide. The Blues get a power play. It was a Dvorak hook, and that one I'll give like a 50-50 that, all right, maybe that's all right, fine. But here's the thing. Because you called that one on Krug, now you have to call that one on Dvorak that you might have otherwise let go. This is the problem. When you set the bar really low as a referee, and you're like, well, I called that, now you have to call all of it. And it's just, all of them now are penalties. There were 4 shots during that Blues power play. Kemper denied Shen. And he did the same to Kyrou later on as well. So Kemper, huge role in today's game for Arizona. Post for the Coyotes with 10 seconds left. It was one of those plays where maybe the Blues kind of relaxed a bit because it was late in the period. Don't do that. We go to the third period. The Coyotes' speed. The speed in the transition game were doing a lot to put the Blues at ill at ease and leave them on their heels a bit early on. Power play for the Coyotes. Slashed the stick, and it was barely, and it's the 4th power play already for Arizona. I don't know. It's pretty bad when I'm writing down what the penalties are. Keep in mind, I normally on the board just write power play for the name of the team, and I don't write down what it is because I don't pay a whole lot of attention to exactly the penalty. I look at the replay and I go, yeah, that's penalty, and I leave it at that. This game was different. Kajula, also it's noteworthy at this stage to point out, he had been out of the game since the first period, did not return. So we'll see whether or not he misses time for Arizona. The Blues pressed 6 minutes into this. Then O'Reilly had a really good chance that Kemper held on to. So again, lost in all this is the fact that Kemper had a great game. And then the quote of the day is going to be this, and I know we got 4 games to come, but I'm saying this quote of the day was Darren Pang saying, you can't mess with Falk's mustache. Agreed. And you can set your watch by that. 11 seconds. Oh, wait. Coyotes with a hook. The Blues go to the power play. And yes, that was a hook. So it's the Blues' 4th power play. But 11 seconds later, Perron with a trip to make it 4-on-4. Those were both legit penalties. Noteworthy. They were legit penalties. The Blues pressed with 5.5 minutes left. Husso made a game saver with 3 minutes left. I know the save percentage won't show it, but Ville Husso had a pretty good game. 1:56 left. Schwartz with a penalty as Husso had made his way to the bench, and it was an interference call, and it was weak. When you're looking at a game and there's 2 minutes left, like I'm one that I don't like them putting the whistle away, but that shouldn't be a penalty. It really shouldn't be. So what happens is you end up killing a penalty. You still try pulling the goalie to make something happen, but that just gets an empty net goal to Chychrun. Great play by Garland at the other end of the rink. And at 19:34, the Arizona Coyotes salted away. They win this one 3-1. And this is the 3rd of 6 in a row between Arizona and St. Louis, and Arizona's now won 2 of them. Arizona, in fact, this is the first time this year they've won back-to-back games. They're 5-5-1. For St. Louis, this is the first time they've lost back-to-back games. They are now 7-4-1. Shots in this one were 11-9 St. Louis in the first, 6-3 St. Louis in the second, 8-6 St. Louis in the third. Final shots 25-18. The shots were low for 2 reasons. 1, very good defense by both teams, and 2, you couldn't get the play flowing. 1 for 6, Arizona on the power play. St. Louis 0 for 4. 10 power plays in this game. Hits were 20-15 for St. Louis, which is noteworthy because they had the lead in shots and hits. And faceoffs, they led there too. 59.2% of the faceoffs went to the Blues. The penalties in this were as follows. I'm not including the fighting because we know that the fight that's legit. Tripping, slashing, holding, not sure that was holding, hooking, slashing, hooking, tripping, interference, and that was the Schwartz call that, and then there was another penalty in the last minute I didn't even put up here because that one at that point didn't matter. They were just trying to prevent an empty net goal. So Kemper saves 23 out of 24, Husso saves 15 out of 17, and according to the calls in this game, there were 3 hooks and 3 slashes. So basically, if you put your stick anywhere near the player on the other team, it's going to be a penalty. It's either going to be a slash or it's going to be a hook. So the next time that you see somebody go around a defenseman and you're like, why didn't he try to hold him up there? That's why. Because referees set the bar that low. You don't want to put your team shorthanded. It means it turns into 80s hockey pretty quick, or it turns into this, where, again, Arizona gets a huge win today. Kemper had a great game, but it's all distracted away by the officiating being way too involved. Again, I'm not one that says put the whistles down and let them play, but you've got to let them play more than this, especially when it's the 3rd out of 6 games these teams are going to play against each other. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.